Hi guys, Trevor Swenson with Through the Darkness. Glad I could be here with you today. Glad you could be with me as I talk about my walk with PTSD, trauma and stressor-related disorder, and all that comes with it, in hopes of encouraging you, giving you hope, and just talking openly and being transparent, simply coming from somebody who is battling it and can give you my perspective on what it's like for those who are around people that may be struggling with it, to those who may be struggling with it. And today I want to talk about flashbacks. Flashbacks are one of the more intrusive things for me to navigate. And the unfortunate part of a flashback is what a flashback is unlike a trigger, which I covered in an earlier episode, to where there is something, a smell, a sound, a person, a location, an environment, something starts the ball of reaction, adrenaline, fear, anxiety that may last for an hour, or it may last a few days like it has for me. A flashback is different than a trigger in that a flashback is an intrusive thought of something that happened to you that comes out of nowhere. And I can give you an example of this that happened to me the other day when I was with my daughter. I don't go out in public anymore, very rarely, only if I'm feeling really good, and I'll take my dog, which obviously is a big change to how I was before PTSD. But we went for a bike ride together, and prior to getting on the bikes, I was having intrusive thoughts about the situation that brought about my PTSD. And one of the first things that happens to me is that I begin to feel physically ill. It starts with lack of appetite, feeling like I have the flu, and then it progresses on. If it gets bad enough or intense enough, I actually will, funny enough, guy that hasn't thrown up in 15 years, I actually will dry heave because of the nausea, because of the anxiety that surrounds whatever the intrusive flashback is. And the most intrusive or damaging part of flashbacks is twofold. Number one, you don't know when they're going to pop into your head. And number two is that you unfortunately mentally become completely consumed by the thoughts of that flashback, which in turn, like it did in my case with my bike ride with my daughter, she was talking away, being the most beautiful daughter you could ever imagine, exactly what you would want a father-daughter bike ride to be like, and I couldn't get myself to focus on the conversation she was having because I was fighting so badly the thoughts and the memories that I was having of what I walked through. And so it pulls you out of whatever life experience that you are having, and it cuts you off from everything that's happening. And the reason flashbacks are such a sucky thing to go through and deal with is it takes beautiful everyday moments that people around you are completely enjoying, whether it be family moments, or I've mentioned before, deer camp, sitting around with the guys telling stories, or you're out fishing, enjoying a beautiful morning or a beautiful evening, or you are doing whatever the activity might be, working in a garden, doing something healthy, and these intrusive thoughts, these flashbacks that come out of nowhere completely take you out of the experience that you are having and overwhelm the experience. And I just thought it's one of those things that I wanted to talk about, because there is obviously an explanation for it biologically and psychologically, and understanding them does make it easier for me to navigate when that happens. And I'm going to bring up again the importance of communication, honesty, and transparency with those people that are around you, especially those safe lion type people, so you can explain to them in whatever terms it is, whether it be an 8-year-old that you need to explain it to, or whether it needs to be a parent or a good friend or a group of friends that you might happen to be with, that I'm just not here right now. And it's a difficult thing, and it's very demoralizing. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about in an upcoming episode here is one thing that really helps me personally, is to find a way to drown my senses when flashbacks become difficult to navigate or deal with. And what I mean by drowning the senses, I'm actually sitting in front of the bucket of a tractor right now, which I'm going to talk about the importance of my tractor. And I hope that you are able in an upcoming episode to figure out whatever your tractor is. But one of the ways that I combat flashbacks is that when I'm running a tractor, there is so much going on with all of my senses that it is healing, and it is very therapeutic for me to be on a tractor. You have the noise, you have the vibration, you have a bucket or the front of the tractor to be concerned with, so you're not running into and wrecking things. You may have an implement of some sort on the back that you need to be aware of what's going on there, and you have the actual cockpit, the control panels that you need to be aware of at all times, and your senses are completely and almost instantaneously drowned in that particular activity. Whereas, for instance, for me, going for a walk, just a walk on a sidewalk or on a street, doesn't help me with flashbacks. It may help me physically with bilateral stimulation and the exercise and getting my body working, but my mind isn't fully drowned out, and that is the key for me. And I can't wait to talk about drowning the senses in an upcoming episode, and how healthy it is regardless, because we all have things that are unhealthy or hurtful or heavy that we walk through in life. It just so happens with PTSD, it's like a battering ram that just continues throwing things at you. Boom, anxiety, boom, depression, boom, anger. And you just end up having to deal with a lot more regularly in situations that would be quote unquote normal life for other people, like a bike ride with my daughter. So triggers versus flashbacks. Triggers for me are something that is said, something that I see, something that I hear, a place that I might be, a drive that I might take something physical, whereas a flashback is something that comes flying in or creeping in that is an intrusive memory of the dangerous situation, or what your body so many times perceived as a dangerous situation. And that dangerous situation doesn't mean somebody necessarily coming at you with a baseball bat, but it might be. That dangerous situation might be a cornering or trapped situation. It may be an abusive relationship. It may be the thought of what happened to you with a parent. It may be a lot of trauma-inducing things that have injured you, but out of nowhere they come flying in, and they kind of just take you out of the moment of living life and being in the present, and they need to be fought off. So when you hear the term flashback, understand that they are very real. It's very difficult to deal with them. It's very difficult to fight them off, and it takes a lot of perseverance and resilience to do so, which I want to remind you that if you do run into somebody that is struggling with trauma or unresolved trauma or trauma and stressor disorder, and you don't have those things going on in your life, just picture a time when you were, again, I like to say, unbelievably stimulated in a negative fashion, unbelievably scared, terrified. You felt completely in danger, in the path of danger, and that's where they are in their head with a flashback, and really there's no place to go. It just needs to be processed out, and there are ways obviously to process those things out, and that's why, regardless of the stigma of getting help professionally and going to therapy, take that powerful first step. I believe with all of my heart, because I've seen it over and over and over again in my life personally, that God honors first steps. Even if that first step is literally falling forward, or taking a baby step, or putting both feet on the floor in the morning, choosing to get up and face the day, He honors first steps when He is involved with your situation. And He is a God that cares and loves you, cares for you and loves for you deeply, more deeply than you could ever imagine. Whatever earthly love you have ever experienced in your life that was moving to you, His love is exponentially bigger than that for you personally, by name, regardless of where you are in your walk with a relationship with Him. His love isn't based on where your relationship is with Him. His love is based on how much He loves you. He loves you more than you could ever imagine. He understands flashbacks. He understands what you are walking through. He understands what you have been through. And He just wants to open dialogue, and He wants to be involved with you. So I just wanted to cover flashbacks because it's a term that comes up with trauma and stressor-related disorder and PTSD. It's very difficult to navigate, but there is hope, and there are techniques and there are therapies that your therapists and your doctors can help you navigate that with. Take that first step. And people that poo-poo therapy, they're not on your side. They don't have your best interest in mind. You need to understand that PTSD is an injury, is a significant injury, just like a bad back that needs medical attention. Your PTSD and your trauma and stressor-related disorder need professional attention. and I challenge you to get that. I ask you to subscribe. If you have a victory story, I would love to hear about it in the comments. And I hope this was helpful for you today to understand PTSD a little bit better and to be able to navigate it either yourself or as somebody that is in a relationship or in a family that has somebody that struggles with trauma. Thanks for being with me. I can't wait to see you next time. And Murphy came running in here for the cameo appearance and grand finale. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be well. I can't wait to see you next time.